With the new year comes new laws on the books for the DMV. DC, Maryland, and Virginia now have new laws that went into effect on January 1st, 2025. And here's some of them. For DC, the new law affecting all drivers, there's no right turn on red lights. The ban on no right turns on red lights is part of the Safer Streets Amendment of 2022, which was meant to stop drivers in DC from turning right on a red light unless DC's Department of Transportation determined allowing right turns on red would be safe at a particular intersection and the proper signage was displayed. But the ban will only be enforced at about half of DC's intersections because the money that was supposed to be set aside for signs at the city's borderlines were never identified before the enforcement was to start January 1st, according to Sharon Kirschbaum, the director of DDOT. The Home Visiting Services Reimbursement Amendment Act of 2024 is a program that uses home visiting as an early intervention program offered in DC for expecting parents and families with young children. Home visitors meet with the families at their home to provide education, coaching, and counseling on specific topics that improve health outcomes for young children and their parents. There are 17 home visit programs operating in DC, and the programs are funded through a mix of federal grants, local grants, and private funding. Beginning on January 1st, families receiving healthcare insurance through Medicaid, DC Healthcare Alliance, or the Immigrant Children's Program will have the cost of home visits covered or be able to get a reimbursement. Here's a new law in DC that will help the wildlife in our area. The Migratory Local Wildlife Protection Act actually became law in March 2023. Under this law, beginning on January 1st, 2025, new building permit applications for new construction or external glazing alterations will be required to use bird-friendly materials for the exterior wall and fenestration up to 100 feet above grade. Now, what does that mean? In architecture, fenestration refers to the openings in a building's walls, most often the windows, doors, and skylights. Basically, a fenestration is anything that allows for the passage from outside to inside the building. And glazing is a term used for glass, which is part of a building's fenestration. So, which means the new DC construction or external glazing alterations have to be made of materials where birds wouldn't mistakenly fly into it, harming themselves. Also, January 1st, DC retailers must accept cash payments. The law prohibits DC businesses from refusing cash payments, from putting signs up denying cash payments, and from charging a customer more for using cash. Exceptions include if the customer is shopping online, if the business sells liquor, or if it's open late at night. Lots of businesses have gone cashless, but DC officials argue that this creates discrimination against those who don't have bank accounts or have credit or debit cards. Some of the new laws for the state of Maryland include the Maryland Road Worker Protection Act. It will expand the use of speed cameras in work zones and raise penalties for traffic violations. If you are speeding in a work zone, you could face fines ranging from $60 to $500. Fines also double when workers are present. The bill is a result of recommendations made by the governor's Work Zone Safety Work Group, a group created after a speeding incident in March 2023 on I-695 near Woodlawn. 6 construction workers were struck and killed in a work zone by a driver going over 100 miles per hour. From the highways to health insurance, another new Maryland law will help people in need of hearing aids. This policy change requires insurers, HMOs, and other carriers to provide coverage for hearing aids for insured adults. Carriers can limit the benefit to $1,400 per hearing aid every 3 years. For opioid-related illnesses, every Maryland hospital must have the capability of treating a person who shows opioid-related symptoms or overdose in the emergency room, have the proper treatments for opioid use disorder, and must have appropriate intervention policies before releasing a person who was admitted for opioid-related illness. In the new year for Virginia, businesses with 25 or more employees that have been operating for at least 2 years will be required to participate in Retire Path Virginia. It's a program designed to provide employees with access to retirement savings accounts. Another Virginia law that would help businesses compete with DC and Maryland for employees is that the minimum wage will increase from $12 to $12.41 per hour. Also in Virginia, health insurers are required to provide coverage for colorectal cancer exams and testing. This law requires that following a non-invasive screening test, a follow-up colonoscopy must be covered, meaning it's exempt from deductibles and other costs of service. Another change to the law in the Commonwealth pertains to protections under the Virginia Human Rights Act. Effective January 1st, 2025, a person's ethnic origin will also be a protected class, alongside race, religion, and sex, among other classes. You can check out these articles listing the new laws for the DMV in the new year of 2025. And my question to you is, were you aware of any of these new laws that went into effect on January 1st? Tell me if you agree or disagree with any of them in the comment section. I want to thank my sponsor for this video, Edwin Cook, for his generosity. And I want to thank you for watching. I'm Dickie D, your DC tour guide, and I will see you around Washington.